Again, my name is Mike Ameye. I'm the former grand jury foreman for the September 2012 grand jury. Let me give you a little bit of process. So I get a card in the mail that says, you have been selected. I thought I was going to have to go to the Army Board for whatever it was I was selected for. It wasn't until I saw on the back that said the grand jury did. I said, great, no problem. I actually wanted to serve on the grand jury. Or on a jury, period. I was one of those crazy people, you know, who wants to be on the jury. So I show up, and the term that I was going to initially be selected for, I actually had a vacation plan. So you're sitting in a courtroom with 45 other people, and they start going down a list of names. And if you don't raise your hand or say something and go, hey, I would love to serve, but I need to be deferred to the next whatever, they just read your name off. The first 23 get pushed off to the side. The rest of them are thank you for your showing up, and out the door you go. So it's not a really complicated process when you're in the courtroom. Pretty much guaranteed if you're on the top of if your last name is an A, and they read down the list, you're serving. So I got a deferment, showed up for the next, got my card in the mail, showed up again for the September term. I was the first one on the list. I guess they made sure my name was on the list. And we went off to the side. Judge Ameye thanked everybody else for showing up, pushed them out the courtroom, and she proceeded to charge the grand jury. And we took the grand jury's oath, and they handed out this fancy little booklet, you know, that has the Georgia grand jury booklet, which is an interesting read, by the way. And then we proceeded to have elections. We didn't realize you're supposed to have a secretary, you're supposed to have, you know, the foreman. There's a couple of different positions that you elect. We're all standing around looking at each other like, who wants to do that? And it got to be the foreman, and we're all standing around going, who? Yeah, I found I just like, you know, it can't be that bad. So I raised my hand. I ended up being, that's it. I was the last guy to step backwards, right? And I got to They ushered us up into the grand jury room, and the district attorney came in, and the district attorney that was our district attorney is now retired. And he proceeded to tell us what our duties were. You know, we spent half the morning doing that. Had a lunch break, came in after lunch, and then they started filing in the ADAs and the policemen. Just boom, 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 boom. And, you know, they handed you the indictment. They read through the indictment. The policeman gave his testimony. The ADA, you know, asked him questions to clarify everything was in the indictment. And then it was policeman was out of the room, the ADA went out of the room, and we voted true bill or no bill. And it was, you had to have at least 16 of us vote true bill, and it was going to court. Well, I will guarantee you that 99% of the stuff that comes through the grand jury room just comes through the grand jury room is what we call felony stupid. I mean, you're looking at this going, why am I even here? Go away. Some of it, though, you're reading through and you're going, wait a minute, this doesn't, and you're listening to the testimony, and you're hearing questions, and it was myself, and there was probably 8 or 10 others in the room. And I won't say that it wasn't a little tampering by God to get us all into the one room at the same time, but these things would come through, and we would start asking questions of the policeman about probable cause. And why did you do this? Where did you, whatever? And it was amazing to watch. I didn't realize until after, you know, this was going on for a while. The ADAs would stand there and go, well, wait, that's, you know, and they'd start throwing these excuses in the way before you could start actually answering, getting questions answered. And the one that really got us was myself and another grand juror. This policeman was sitting there, and he starts going on about how he drove onto this dirt road. And the dirt road was one of those dirt roads that goes down and splits off into like 6 other driveways. And he got almost all the way down in one of the driveways, and there was a van parked in there. And he stopped his car and got out, and he searched the van. And I going off in my head, and the other guy, he's going, he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, and went, wait. So you went down a private dirt road onto a private driveway and opened up someone's vehicle and searched, and yes, you found stolen goods, but you had no probable cause? Did the property owner even ask you to come onto the property to you know, was there something suspicious going on? Was there anything? And this guy's like, no, I just took it upon myself to do down the thing. And the ADA goes, well, you know, you guys don't reach the probable cause. You only have to tell us if there's enough evidence for us to prosecute. And if I had known this man, I would have grabbed that guy by the ears and thrown him out of the grand jury. Because he doesn't have any evidence if the policeman doesn't have probable cause. Bingo! And we were just, and the policeman was sweating about it, you could see the ADA was sweating about it, and it was later that afternoon we got a visit from the T.E.A. going, do you guys understand what your job is? Do I need to send you back down to the judge's chamber to get recharged on what you're supposed to do? And, you know, again, it's a learning process, right? So we were threatened with that. Anyway, part of what we were doing, I got a letter in the mail, was addressed to the grand jury foreman, plain and simple. It was not open, which I will give the retired DA a pat on the back for that, because he didn't open it. He just handed it to me. Although he knew who it was from, so he knew what it was about. And he proceeded to fill my ear with about, you're going to hear all kinds of craziness and whatever. Anyway, it was a letter from a Cherokee County resident about the Bobo deal. And we elected to have a special committee put together to go and investigate. And we had a real estate banker, a loan officer on the thing. We had a guy that did forensic audits on the thing. We had a couple of guys that were just plain ticked off on the thing. And, you know, myself as the foreman. And we went off and we started doing our things. And some of these guys, unfortunately, I have to work for a living, but some of these guys had their own business and they could take their own time and, you know, rearrange their schedule. They were up at the courthouse getting papers, doing research, doing work, and it was amazing to us that, for example, they couldn't figure out what the tax value on the property was that Bobo bought and then sold to the county. So they didn't know how much of what they paid was to pay the tax bill. They didn't know how much it was going. Well, the real estate loan officer went to the thing. He went to the county tax record. He went and said, here's the plot, give me the thing, and here's the tax records. Right down the road. 35 minutes he had it figured out. And here it is, we've got a courthouse full of district attorney lawyers and ADAs and all these folks getting this stuff out.
Well, let me clarify that again. When you say ADA, you mean Assistant District Attorney.
And all
you're
of their
saying
investigators.
That they couldn't go to the courthouse. When you use the word they, that's who you mean they couldn't go and find out that very simple information.
I say they couldn't go.
They
wouldn't. And I didn't say they wouldn't go.
I didn't.
But they didn't go. I mean, because if someone can go and figure it out, it probably would have taken me 2 hours. And it took our friend 30 minutes because he's in the business. Well, it's all there. It's all public documents. You all can go do it. It's that easy. Anyway, so we started gathering all of this stuff, and we're going, this just smells really bad. And I don't mean because they're doing with mulch and all that nasty stuff. This just smells bad. So we started talking and said, hey, we want to bring these people in and start asking some questions. We wanted to start doing some investigation. And we were advised by the district attorney to not put anybody under oath. He says, you'll get more flies with honey than you will with arrow. I'm thinking, well, okay, because we're just trying to get answers to questions that they supposedly already answered, but we want to see if there's more detail. So we did that. And then I wasn't there for one of the investigations, and one of the grand jurors was there, and he started to really grill into one of our elected officials, who was no longer an elected official, but he was having fun with him anyway. And one of the ADAs, who is now our DA, turned and looked at this man and said, if you don't stop being belligerent, I will have you removed from the grand jury. There's no section in the law that says they can do that, unless there's maybe a moral turpitude clause, then we'll probably have to just get thrown out, but, you know, yeah.
Do grand juries have bailiffs?
Yes, they do. And yes, I could have said to bailiff, get this woman out of my grand jury room.
Because if I was there, I would have.
But the thing is, I didn't know this man at the time.
Oh, okay.
So the problem is, a lot of us have that feeling that something isn't right. And a lot of us have done a lot of reading. And we've got really good ideas, but we haven't put it all together yet.
We don't know our rights.
Right.
We haven't put it
Or
together
we
yet.
know
We're
what
doing it.
some of our rights are, but we don't know how to enforce them. Or we don't know how to exercise them. And in the case of a grand jury, of course, you're in a courtroom and you've got to...
Hey,
Keep
Bob,
going.
I'm going to yield some of my time so that he can stay.
So
Don't stop.
here you are, and let's face it, you go into a courtroom for a traffic ticket and you feel intimidated because here's this person sitting, 5, 6, 7 feet above you. They're dressed in a black dress. I won't call it a robe, but it's a black dress. They got the shirt face and a hammer, right? And I'm afraid they're going to come out and hit me with a hammer, but that's the way it goes. So there's all this intimidation that goes on. When you're on a grand jury, you don't understand that you're actually standing above that person. You're the one that goes to that person and says, I need this, I need that, I need the other. The only indication that you have any kind of power or things that are going on are the bailiffs. When you talk to the bailiffs, if you say, I need, the bailiffs are off after. Period. I don't care what it is. You want coffee, fresh coffee, and they just made a pot, they'll make you another pot. You need something copied, you need this looked up in the thing, you need that looked up in the thing. The bailiffs will go and they will get it done for you. Because they work for you. Yeah. Yes, sir?
Yeah, could a grand jury, and specifically grand jury foreman, have a bailiff declare like a district attorney or whatever in contempt of that court and have them put in?
Well, that's an interesting thing. See, when that one ADA told this guy that she was going to have him removed, that's an attempt to intimidate a grand jury member.
That's what I'm
That's a
asking.
crime. And he should have come back to me, and if I had known at the time, we could have written up an indictment, voted on it, sent it to the judge to be signed, and that ADA would be under indictment for attempting to intimidate or influence grand jury. Yes, sir.
How many of you guys have been invited back to the grand jury?
Oh yeah, I've probably got so much red ink around my name, it's not funny. Because we kept pushing. And they probably had to work harder in that 4-month period to keep the status quo than they had to work in a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure if you pull up my name on the grand jury rolls right now, there's probably a, oh hell no. But that's what I would like to get to, my point is we need a few things. One, we need education. We need education on what our rights are. We need education on how to make it work, how to operate inside a grand jury room, how to handle a district attorney that's being overly aggressive, how to handle these kinds of things. And then we need to be able to do. And we also need to be able to, as citizens, understand how to get in front of a grand jury, how to explain your evidence in case a crime is being committed, how to move a grand jury to actually indict on those kinds of things. And that's a whole educational process. There's the grand jury side when you're on the grand jury, being able to get outside of the DA's box and actually go and get to those things that are under his purview. And then there's the public side where the people can actually get to their court and move their court to actually indict people that are breaking the law. Here's a novel idea, medical marijuana. Okay? I'm not for smoking dope as a pastime because you're bored and you want to get hungry and eat pizza. There's absolutely no need for that in this country. But they've proven time and time again that medical cannabis cures everything from epilepsy and autism to cancer. But yet our governor has decided through his proxies in the legislature that he doesn't want to grow medical marijuana in this state. How about the first time a child dies in this state because they can't get medical marijuana to treat whatever blank illness is? A grand jury brings the governor up on manslaughter charges because he wouldn't sign a bill to get in front. Now, I don't know if that's possible, but I'll tell you what, you'll get somebody's attention if he gets dragged into court on a manslaughter charge.
We can take all the grand jury foremen in the state of Georgia together. They don't have the stones to do that.
That's why I'm looking back into the grand jury.
It would not be just the governor, it would be the majority of the legislators who voted down the bill.
Every one of the lobbyists that didn't support the first one. I mean, you can have an indictment this freaking long. Now, granted, it may go nowhere, but the fact that, can you imagine the headline, Cherokee County grand jury indicts the governor, the legislature, you know, this.
I think it would make national news.
Yeah. Suddenly, someone's going to have, first off, there'll be a whole lot of puckering going on. Probably a whole lot of toilet paper sold. Secondly, people are going to start thinking, going, wait a minute, how could a grand jury indict the governor? Or
Article 1, I'm sorry,
Go.
Article 2.
Anyway, this is what I'm talking about. It's an educational process. Yes, ma'am.
When you put this into the context of the American Medical Association being founded by Rockefeller money with the distinct purpose of squelching natural remedies, and the fact that the doctors come out of medical school now have absolutely no nutrition taught to them, you will understand why the U.S. is the sickest country in the world. And you'll understand why there are 300 to 400 pound people walking around in this world who are basically malnourished. And when the body's malnourished, it malfunctions.
Ma'am,
Here, here. And that could be a subject of grand jury.
ma'am, may I ask you a question with your medical training? Are you familiar with the Marisol?
Marisol, yes, sir. I've been to marches at the Center for Disease Control as of last January, and I'm very familiar with that.
Can I see you after this?
Absolutely.
So, and you know what? Let's just say
I
that
know
reaching for the governor might be a little high, but how about the next time a police officer, and I know there's police officers out there that do their jobs, but there are some people out there that are so overzealous about what they do. Or,
Idiots.
okay, idiots. I was trying to be politically correct, but the idiots out there. How about the next time one of them oversteps their bounds and they start operating underneath the color of the law, which is where it looks like they're enforcing the law, but they're really not. And in case of that is a false arrest. Did you know a false arrest is an assault?
Yeah.
It's an assault. So how about you get your evidence together and get in front of a grand jury and you get an indictment against this police officer for assault, a criminal charge, and you go down that path. You're going to start waking people up to what their power is. Yes, sir.
When you're charged as a grand jury, is it from a certain time to a certain time?
Yes. The grand jury's lifespan is 4 months, unless it's a special grand jury. Let's say a judge asks for, or an elected official of the state asks for a special grand jury to investigate a certain thing. That grand jury is in power for as long as it takes to investigate what it is.
Well, can you investigate whatever you want during that 4 months, or do you have a specific task or agenda that you're given?
Just stay standing.
If you will read the oath of a grand juror, they are charged by that oath to diligently inquire and true presentment make of all matters touching upon their present service. It does not matter how they hear of something that falls within that ambit. And a grand jury has a normal business cycle, one term of court to the next term of court. Whether that term be 3 months, 4 months, 2 months in the case of Cobb County, 6 months in the case of Lawrence County, for example. However, if a grand jury starts its own investigation, here's something else you need to understand. There are 2 types of grand jury inquests. One is initiated by a district attorney where all of the evidence is already accumulated. The other is one started by the grand jury itself. That's when they have the power and the duty to tell the district attorney, you need to go back to your office and properly feed up. We'll call you if we need you. Now, I know that sounds a little funny, but I'm serious. That's the way. A grand jury would not dare talk to a district attorney that way because they are a proper group of judges. But you rest assured, that's the way the district attorney will hear it.
Sorry, I used up your
I'm
time.
sorry.
No, I think everybody is very enraptured by this. Do you have a few more things to say?
Just a couple. I mean,
Okay, go ahead.
So to back to it, the grand jury, as it was paneled when I was on it, was 4 months, 2 days a month. And the district attorney basically had everything lined up for us when we came in. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., it was case. We did see our special investigative group, and they could come and go whenever they wanted. And they got paid, actually, for every day that they did their investigations. They put in a timesheet, the whole bit. What I didn't realize is at the time is as the grand jury foreman, I could have ordered every grand jury person in that room, everybody that was seated on the room, to show up every day, 7 days a week if I wanted to, for the full term or longer if we were in the middle of an investigation.
Should have.
I didn't know. And that's where I'm getting to education. We have to put together the guidelines on, if you make it to a grand jury, this is what you can do. If anybody in this room gets called and they get into the grand jury, first thing I would do is, if a DA or a judge gets a whiff of any idea that you have half a brain in your head, you will not be on the top 23, I will guarantee you. You won't. If they have half a whiff of what's going on, you'll be out. Second, if you get in that room and you get impaneled and they start talking about officers, when it comes time to be the foreman of that grand jury, you better be in a fist fight to get yourself to be a foreman. Because the foreman is basically the Supreme Court judge of that grand jury room. You control everything.
Chief Justice.
Chief Justice, thank you. You control everything that goes on in that room. And as the grand jury foreman,
With the advice and consent, most times.
most times. Yes, sir.
Who do you think is going to do this educating? Certainly not the government.
Oh,
That's the job of all of us here.
that's our job.
It's
If
our
you walk up to that
goal.
courthouse with a jury information package, you're going to get arrested.
You don't have to go to the courthouse. You don't have to go to the courthouse. We put together a guideline, and you get on a mailing list like this one, or you get on Facebook, and you start putting posts. Hey, you guys interested in anybody been called? Hey, put a link out to a document somewhere. Let them go. Did you know this? I didn't know this. And you play stupid, and you post this stuff. I'm sorry. I know it's funny. But you play stupid going, hey, I didn't know this was available. Did you know this was available? And you post a link to it. Or you tweet it. Is that what it is? I'm sorry, I can't do Twitter. I can't do Twitter because the first 5 letters of that word is twit. I've already got a reputation. I don't need to be known as a twit. So,
That's the goal of the Tea Party, is to run
Right.
a series of educational from here.
and the thing
Okay,
is, you'll
so we
get
have more
pushback.
questions. Yes, we'll get it.
You'll get pushback, and they'll say, no, that's not true. And that's where you need to be able to have a resource that you can go back and say, well, yes, it is, because this does not overwrite the Constitution. Yes, sir.
How many of you up there are part of the fully formed jury association, PETA, the national organization? We do have a representative here in the state.
I have not, didn't know about it.
If you guys, there is an organization out there trying to educate people on juries, and we are actually trying to start a chapter here in Georgia, getting judges, attorneys.
Which is a great idea.
Fully informed jury association out of Colorado. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Good bunch.
It's a good bunch, but you
We're
have to
familiar
remember-
with that, and we were going to use some of their resources. So you have to stay after class too.
The thing to remember is every state is different. Yes, sir.
Can I approach you?
Yes, sir.
I've been on the grand jury too. Everything you have said is spot on. I was in a quarterback in 2005, 6, 7, I don't know what it is. Anyway, from your experience, just reckon that, get back to me with what I had to go through in the grand jury that I was on. They would bring in a case. The ADA would come in here, a wrestling officer comes down, sits, and it was a little young lady, and she's a wrestling officer. Okay, now we have a drug case. And the ADA would go like this. Okay, on the night of so-and-so, Mr. So, you saw him do what? And she'd go look at you, and the ADA goes this. You saw him pick up the package, and you thought there was something wrong, right? And she said, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this was going on.
Okay.
We won't lead witnesses here.
Okay, and then what'd you do? You looked in, went over there and talked to him, looked down in the bag, seen some kind of drug, right? That's what it, that's what it went through, case after case after case, see, arresting officer. Finally, I went to the foreman and said, hey, something's fishy here. Is this right? Things are off. I said, I want to ask. So he went a break, went and talked to the ADAs, there was a gang of them, and he came back and says, well, since they're using the same arresting officers, because the undercover multitask drug force in Cherokee County or anything like that, they know that they're undercover, so therefore they're just going to have one do all the cases. That was the reason we got it. Wait, let's do it. But we had to go through it, like he says. We had to take that. They did not tell us our full right as being on the grand jury. We did just here, this is what you gotta do it, and then you'll be all right. And you're supposed to be here at 5. If you knock these through, you get out of here Tuesday afternoon. Basically, that's what.
Right. It was an interesting experience that if I ever had a chance to do it again, I said if, and it's a big if, it would be, well, let's just say there'd probably be lots of red and blue flashing lights around the courthouse because they'd be trying to get me out of it. Education and curiosity, and then passing it on, and using these grassroots organizations and the social media that's there. I don't think, and I'm going to use this term, I don't think the establishment realizes the Pandora's box that they opened when they let DARPANet out to the public. And people could start sharing information without somebody actually getting in the way and saying, oh wait, you can't see that. It's a genie that they're trying to put back in the bottle, and we're going to have a real hard time doing it because there is so much available information out there. But the thing is, you have to verify. You have to trust but verify. Verify, verify, verify. Because there is a lot of crap out there too. Excuse my language. There is a ton of garbage and patriot mythology garbage that's out there, and, just stuff that it may all be true, but you don't have to go there. All you have to do is say, no, you're infringing on my rights, and I'm gonna stop you now. And it's all in education, and it's all good people will care about it.
You got a question?
I have a question, and it relates to a particular event that has just recently happened. To the best of my knowledge, the grand jury, this was a federal grand jury, was investigating a former congressman about something that happened in an election. And it drug on for about 9 months. And to the best of my knowledge, at the end of the